cops on me. On a mission to be champs since they let me free.
Prepare for combat, my adversaries crumble. Face it, I got a reputation for damage. Busters get ready to rumble. They lock me in a cell, have me trapped in a living hell. Though not guilty, I'm still in jail. Brother, I serve my time like a soldier. Maintain composure. My shadow boxing, the fight to the death. Busting boulders. Every boxer with a pair of gloves. Best give up love. Here's a man from the makings of a thug. A lethal weapon, mind sharp. And in my heart, there's a wish to shake the world with the flurry of my black fist. Now once a high school dropout, now I'm the $1 million champ. Who's the next to get knocked out? Straight out of...
What's going on, everybody? Another episode of Cheap Seats Box Show. Angelo here, my boy JP. JP, what's up, man?
Let's get to it, man.
All right, first things first. Follow us on Twitter. Cheap Seats Box, iTunes, rate, review. You will be the next unofficial sponsor. Like, too. I told you I was going to do this last week. Lord Winmerpool, that's what I'm guessing, on iPatio. He left a review on there, which is weird. We've never ever got one off there. Got thousands of listeners on there, but never got a review on it. Said we were informed, current, down to earth, entertaining. Yes, we are. I appreciate that. And on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever you want to call it. Charlie, you are the unofficial sponsor. He put on there, he just found us. We know our stuff and we're the real deal. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell people. We are the real deal. I'm going to tell you one thing. Go ahead, man.
Greatest show of all time. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I need to bring that back. Need some saying that. This is one of the things that I like about us in our show, because I've gotten this a lot on these reviews, and I'll see this a lot. Enjoy them, even if I don't agree with them all the time, which lets me know that we do it in a way that we don't sound like assholes. To where, like if somebody sounds like an asshole and they don't agree with you, they're like, man, fuck this show. This show fucking sucks. But if they're like, man, these guys are pretty cool. I think they're full of shit on this, but you know what? They're pretty cool. And I'm kind of proud of that, man, because we can get our opinion out there without having to be total assholes. That doesn't mean we're not.
Yeah, I don't like that my asshole isn't shining through right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, damn, I need to work on it.
You can email us, cheapseatsbox. Oh, by the way, Charlie, again, you are the unofficial sponsor. We thank you. Be like him. Go to Apple Podcast, iTunes, rate and review. You'll be the next unofficial sponsor next week. You can email us, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Questions, comments, like something we're going to talk about later. Anything like that. Welcome to all the listeners, and maybe one last time. We don't have to retire this one, but we talked about this. He said he wouldn't be hurt if we did it. But there's one more.
We got to do the Zoom. We got to give you another one though. We got to step up in technology.
All right, guys. Last week, it was all about the Erroll Spence show. He did what I thought he would do. I think I said 8th round knockout. 3 minutes of the 7th round, started the 8th, whatever. It was close enough. I'll take it, because the other one, I was way off. Erroll Spence did exactly what he wanted to do against Lamont Peterson. JP, what do you think, man?
I think he took the fight to him early. I think that double jab and body shot started the whole night off. The crazy part was in the beginning, he was controlling the fight going to his right, and he was even controlling the fight going to his left because he was so busy. Like, the great thing about Erroll is he's kind of like an old school fighter. If you hit him once, he's going to hit you back. He basically made Lamont not throw, to the point where he just basically started getting beat up because he couldn't be busy. Erroll dominated the fight, man. He really did. He really just took it to him. And dude's a dog. He's just a straight up dog. So congratulations to him. I'll give props to Lamont for he tried. He took some stands, but he took some punishment taking those stands.
He gave the old college try.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I noticed, was the double jab, straight left to the body, and I think that literally set the tone for the fight. At that point, and then the fact that there was times, I think even in the second round, that Lamont Peterson had caught Spence clean, but he just had nothing behind his punches, man. There was nothing to keep Spence off of him, and you knew it was just a matter of time. And this is what I was talking about when I was like, Spence isn't the biggest power puncher, like single one punch power, but he's got thump in every punch, and so he just wears you down, and then pretty soon, boom. Well, he knocked him down in the 5th, and just kind of punished him all the way through until they stopped it at the end after 7. This is exactly how I thought it would go. Now, supposedly Spence says he's got another fight announcement ready. Now, I hope that this is true. Now, I do have a theory on that. If they have another announcement and it's like in March or April, that tells me something. That tells me that maybe this might be Errol Spence's last year on the contract with Heyman, and Heyman's trying to hey, look, we're gonna keep you busy. So because to me, Spence more than anybody else in that stable has the greatest chance of being a star. He could be a building block into something bigger. Mm-hmm. And if he has said on occasions already that he is not happy with the lack of staying busy, the lack of action, the lack of getting fights. So if he's doing that and there's a threat that he could be leaving or wanting to go somewhere else so he can stay busy, then if he's getting fights this quick of a turnaround for another fight, that tells me maybe he's on the last year of it and they're trying to tell him, hey, look, stay with us, man. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be okay. Calling out Thurman. Good luck, man. Good luck getting. Like, I think he might get at the end of this year, maybe. But I mean, Thurman would have to do something he hasn't done in 3 years, and that's fight twice in a year. So we shall see.
If he gets him, he gets him. Like, my thing, the early fight could be that, and it also could be he might just move up. He might take another fight and just say, well, I'm skipping up. Because he's hinted at going to 60. The jumping 2 weight classes things, that's a little, I never think that works out for people. Now, 54, I could see that. He could basically take the Charlo brothers spot that left, basically. So I could see that. But if he can still make weight at 47, I could see him fighting at both, honestly. Because he's always says he's a big 47 anyways. And by the looks of it, when everybody he gets into the ring with, he's a big 47. So I want to see what the future holds, because he is one of the few fighters that we could talk about who actually delivers when they fight. Lomachenko delivers when he fights. Crawford delivers when he fights. And you can say Spence delivers when he fights. Wild and Joshua deliver. What you're gonna get. The Crusher. Mm-hmm. You're gonna get the action you're looking for. So he got a bright future, man.
On the undercard, the fight that I was not close on, Robert Easter gets a split decision over Javier Fortuna. This was a close fight. I saw a lot of rumblings that this was a robbery. I don't think that this was at all a robbery. I thought it was a close fight, man. And actually, if you look at even the punch stats and the punches landed per round, this was a close fight in every round. There was a lot of times when Fortuna would just not do anything for the first 2 minutes and 40 seconds and just flurry at the end and catch Easter and clip him. But I thought it was a fair decision. If you had Fortuna winning by a couple points, I ain't got no problem with that. If you had Easter winning, I ain't got no problem with that. The one thing you can't have is a draw, because it was a point deducted. So you can't have the draw unless you're giving 10-10s out. And I didn't think there was any round that was really 10-10. I think there was a couple swing rounds, but I thought it was pretty cut and dry for the most part. For me, I've talked to people about it, What's going on, homeboy? No.
To me, it's like a back and forth fight, but it depends on how you like styles. If somebody's busy in the beginning, do you X that out if the other guy's busy at the end? Like you said, if he's stagnant for a while, he has a flurry. Is the flurry the only thing you remember? Mm-hmm. Type of thing. And sometimes that leans towards who do you like the most. The one thing I got from this fight was he had another tough fight. And looking beyond that fight, who is calling out Mikey and Linares, I don't think he's ready. Because that's the kind of competition they will blow out. So when you're fighting close with people that I can't see them being close with at all, you got some work to do. I like you, but you got some work to do.
Yeah, I like him too, but let's be honest, man. I gave him a little bit of a pass on the Comey fight. That was close. I forget the first defense he had. It was kind of nondescript. The second fight, I gave him a benefit of a doubt. I scored it close for him. Some people thought Shafikov won that fight. And last week I messed up on all the Russian names. I got them all mixed together. But he's starting to show a pattern, though. He kills. He is a longer version of Sean Porter, because he smothers what he would do well, and that's keeping you at the end of his punches, keeping distance, using his length to his advantage. He smothers everything, takes all the power off of his shots. That was the one thing that surprised me. It was like, come on, man. Fortuna, I saw him doing to Fortuna what he did to Mendez, but he caught Mendez at the end of his punch, and he smothered everything of his to where he had zero power. Fortuna does not have a good chin. He got knocked out by Jason Sosa, who's not a big puncher, at 130. So at 135, coming in out of shape, missing weight, you would think this was lined up for Easter to look good, and he didn't, man. And honestly, he's starting to look like a pretender and not a contender. He's lucky he didn't get that Mikey fight. Mikey would have beat the fuck out of him. I mean, it's not even close anymore. You can't go life and death with Denis Shafikov, Richard Comey, and now Javier Fortuna, which a lot of people thought he lost. So the bloom is coming off that rose pretty quick.
Yeah, he's definitely got some work to do. Because just like the smothering thing. Maybe he needs to become less Porter and more Paul Williams if he's going to be in there like that. You get what I'm saying? Like, but to do that, you're going to have to kind of open yourself up a little bit more. And if you feel like you got the chin for it, whatever. Because, Paul had we all look at the knockout with Sergio, but he had a chin. So you're going to have to switch up something. Because to always have that height and length advantage and never take advantage of it, that's the big difference with him. Like, who was that fight? Thinking about it, Paul Williams lost to the Puerto Rican cat, or was it Cuban? Cintron?
Kermit Cintron? Did he lose to him?
Because that was his first loss. But he kept jumping in with hooks. And, because Paul wouldn't really extend his punches, he was always jumping in with hooks. Bang, bang, bang. And it accumulated over the fight. Like, this cat, he could get done like that. And I could see Mikey being smart enough to say, you know what? You so busy worried about fighting on the inside. Just take this shot. He's one of those fighters, if it works, he'll do it all night long. So he can exploit those weaknesses. Linares, I just think Linares is probably a better boxer right now.
Yeah. And the fact that he doesn't have the power to keep anybody off of him, so what's he gonna do? Those guys will do what they want when they want. So he is really taking himself down a notch as far as I'm concerned. And I've been the biggest Easter fan from the beginning, and it's just, you have to call it like you see it. I did score this fight for him. I thought he did enough to win at least 6 rounds. 6 rounds gets him the fight because of the point deduction. I was okay with the point deduction because as soon as the referee told him, hey, no more hitting behind the head, he went and grabbed him and hit him like 4 more times behind the head. Like, as soon as he got done telling him, I was like, dude, I just fucking told you, man. What are you doing? I know he didn't get a second warning, but I mean, it was just like, it was so like in your face, blatant. It's like, dude, come on. Hey, you done tied my hands, man. What and as far as the cards, I thought the cards were fair. If you look at it, if you look at the final score, those 3 judges had a total of 36 rounds to score, 12 each, right? 18 were scored for Fortuna, 18 were scored for Easter. So, I mean, it goes down with what actually happened, I think a lot of people were looking for Easter to dominate like I was, And because he wasn't, well, then I score like this because, that momentum thing starts to go, well, he's doing way better than I thought in every round, so he must be winning those rounds. Instead of sometimes I think just looking at the round, okay, who won this round? It's hard not to do because we're human. That's part of what we're made of, I don't know what's next for Easter. I know what should be next is he needs to look good against whoever he fights because he hasn't. He hasn't been dominant against anybody since the Mendes fight.
Maybe he just needs to move up.
But with that lack of power, I didn't think it's a bad move.
Not so much for the power, because having to deal with people who can punch harder will force you to change what's not working for you in your style. Like because this is what made him champion. I don't think he's gonna get away from that unless he's forced to. And the only people that's gonna force him to get away from that is people that can punch, or that are big, or just as physical as him that could just push him off. Like, nah, we ain't doing that today. So like I said, he's got to do something. He's got to work on stuff.
Yeah, he's got to change up something, man. He probably needs to get away from the Broner thing, man. It's just he's toxic, man. The best thing was seeing him not getting access to the fight right away on the video.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and then going and apologizing to the guy, but then trying to talk shit as he walked away like a punk. That's what punks do. It lets you know he's a punk.
He's just overly emotional. Like, that's what, like, you know how you can get overly emotional and say stuff and then you don't mean it. And people say, all right, that was at one time. But when you do it like 15 times in a row, they're like, you know what? Just shut up, man. Because I don't even want to hear the apology right now. We talked about this years ago. At some point, you can't be taken as making childish mistakes. He doesn't look like it would look different if he was like a calculated individual and you're like, oh, he's doing this or he's doing that. There's nothing against him being smart or dumb. It's just if you wear your heart on your sleeve all the time, then some people say that's real and some people say that's real stupid. To me, it's real stupid because everybody who tries to tell him, like, look, man, you need to do this, he's like, I hear you, and then he goes right back and does the other thing. Like, he's not gonna get it until until it's over with. Like, he's not gonna get it until it's over with.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what's next. I don't know what's next for Fortuna. He missed weight. Actually, he got what he deserved. Even if people thought he won, you kind of earned that fucking karma when you miss weight. So, I don't really have any sympathy for Fortuna. I really don't. And I've been very consistent with people who miss weight. I have zero sympathy for you when you miss weight, especially by as much as you did. You know what I mean? Especially going up 5 pounds and you still miss weight. Come on, man.
I'm gonna tell you what bothered me about him. When he got on the scale the first time, he was praying like, "Come on, like, motherfucker, look at you."
You knew before you went.
You knew. I could tell you hoping that the scale is off by a few ounces. Like, I can't take you serious if you're not gonna take you serious. And Fortuna, he basically looks like a fighter who's talented but lazy. He's like the Dez Bryant of fighters. Like, dude, I know you gonna fight when you get in the ring, but you ain't gonna. It look like you've been taking shortcuts the whole time to get here. So whatever, And that's not gonna cut it, man. And I don't, like, me personally, I don't care. Like, you don't care.
Yeah, you don't care. Why do I care? And so there it is. So this weekend. All right, guys. So here's what happened, right? As I pull into my house, me and JP had to move because it was a little loud where we were at, and then some idiot didn't turn back the microphone on. I didn't turn the microphone on. That'd be me. So you missed our weekend predictions. It's a simple one, so this show's going to end up being shorter now because of it. But the Matisse-Kiron fight, we don't. it's not supposed to be a tough fight, but it could be a tough fight. We don't know how far Matisse's fallen. He looked good against Manuel Taylor. And Karen, we don't know because, he's only fought in Asia and mostly in Thailand. In Thailand. So we don't know what to get. We figure he's going to be tough. He's long, but I think Matisse's got enough to hold him off. It's probably going to be rough and tumble because Matisse has fallen. JP agree. We both pick Matisse, and then in the undercard, we both like Jorge Linares versus Mercito Hesta. You go back. I know it's 5 years ago, but it is 5 years ago, almost 5.5 years ago. What Miguel Vasquez did to Mercito Hesta, and Hesta really hasn't grown since that fight. Damn near a shutout, and a boxer who's not even as skilled as Linares is, and Vasquez kind of damn near shut him out. So we both see Linares pulling this fight out, but it's incumbent on him to look good in this fight. You can't have two bad performances in a row. But to me, the big fight, of course, is the World Boxing Super Series semifinal with Alexander Usyk and Marius Briedis. This fight is really just a stopgap for me to get to the finale between Usyk and I think Gassiev, who both win their fights. Because when you look at a fight like this, Briedis is more just a straight-up 1-2 fighter. He doesn't have a lot of wrinkles to his game. He doesn't bring huge power or anything like that. And he doesn't have any of the tangibles. And I see a guy like Usyk just pretty much doing what he wants and kind of going into the pattern that he's developed over his pro career as, picking you apart slowly with the jab, slowly wearing you down and then going in for the kill. That's kind of his style. I see him doing that, building a big early lead and, doing some punishment at towards the end. I think it's probably going to be... It's going to go the distance, but I see Usyk winning at least 9 or 10 rounds. He's a different level fighter, and I think only Gassiev, because of the power, could actually stop his march toward the title here in the World Boxing Super Series. I think this is a good fight. This is a much better fight than the first one against Hook, because Hook is much faded. But I think this is a step in the right, in the right direction as far as we're in the semifinals. These are much better matchups, but I just don't think that Briedis brings anything that's going to throw Usyk for a loop. Man, he is so much more skilled than any 200-pound fighter out there, and it's not even close. And I think you're going to see a big separation here. I really think that Gassiev is the only one who can give him a run for his money, and so going down the line, of course, I'm pulling for Gassiev against Dorticos. But this matchup is much better, but I don't think you're going to see anything much more in the way of resistance against Usyk. I think Usyk just keeps on marching towards the finals, and I think this is just... and the good thing about this is it's happening so fast that they're as fresh as they can be, and they're going to be as good as... you're not going to have any of that staleness, so that's good. Give us both Usyk. We both picked it. Usyk, decision, maybe late stoppage. And then, you know what? It's going to pick right up. Sorry, guys. We're piecing this together now because it's my dumbass. And then we made a move, so it's going to sound a little bit different, but we had just made a move, and I forgot to turn the microphone back on. So let's go ahead and pick that action up right now, guys. All right, guys. I gotta be honest, I forgot to turn on the microphone when we tried to pick up right there at the this weekend's fights. If not, I will go back and talk to it. Me and JP both picked Usyk, just so you guys know. Even if I have to go pieces together. But Tony Sheffy, Zoom listener, asked about who's the fighter to fall. We've seen the names fall. Pacquiao, Klitschko, Cotto. We've seen them all starting to fall, even Chocolatito last year. Who's a fighter this year you think is going to possibly, that was my head to get hitting something, a fighter that possibly could be falling off this year?
My number one choice, because of the layoffs and how people will probably perceive him, is Keith Thurman. Because, layoffs catch up with you. Even if you're younger, it catch up with you. But more so, I think people are primed to want to see him lose now. So that's just an unfortunate thing, but it's gonna happen. Like, I'm not, he's good in that ring, but his competition is too active, and I don't think he can sustain that too much longer. So he'll be the number one choice. My number two choice, it's gonna be messed up. I say this because the ceiling's so high, Joshua. Because later on in the year, he might be Parker, because I think that's a good fight. But if he fights Wilder, Wilder got ridiculous power. So if he can get through Parker, but he loses to Wilder, people gonna turn on him. And I hate to say that, because I look at it like when they build people up so high, they turn so fast. Would I want it? No, but that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go the opposite of that. I'm going to go Deontay Wilder, because I think he's more likely to lose their upcoming fights. I would say it's more likely that Ortiz would beat Wilder than I think Parker would beat Joshua, just because I just don't think that Parker has the power. And the one thing that can foil a guy like Wilder is boxing skills, is what Ortiz has. Will his chin be able to hold up? That's always the big key when it comes to any Wilder fight. All he has to do is land one shot. He is truly the Tyson-like of this era, you know what I mean? Because even when Tyson was losing, even when you remember watching him fight Lennox Lewis, even though you knew he's probably going to lose, it was like, well, if he lands that one punch, because we've seen what happens to Lewis if you catch him on the chin clean. Wilder has that. So we'll see that he's definitely a candidate who can fall, because I mean, he literally could lose to Ortiz and then they could have a rematch, because I'm sure there's a rematch clause. If he's being taken care of, there's a rematch clause. I'll say him because he's the most likely to lose out of those two, just in the next fight. Those two fighting, him and Joshua, I don't know. Conventional wisdom says Joshua's probably got a little bit more, but man, those get like he really only has to land one punch, especially against Joshua. We've seen him get clipped. Yeah, because I don't know what the likelihood of them fighting this year. I'm gonna put my eggs in the basket. They're not fighting this year, so I think there's less chance that he's gonna fall this year. Not saying that it's likely that Wilder will lose, because I'm gonna pick Wilder in that fight. But I mean, just if you're talking about a top guy, I like the Thurman pick. Him, it's all activity. The guy's fallen 2 notches in his own division by a lot of people based on the fact that he doesn't fight. A guy who could fall is Danny Garcia could fall. The welterweight division, I think, is one of the most overrated divisions. To me, it's 3 strong and everybody else, and everybody else is a far cry, a good level underneath all those guys. Crawford, Spence, Thurman. That's it. Everybody else is just there at this point. We already know Porter can't beat those top guys. That's been proven. Garcia can't. That's been proven. And I think he's only getting worse. Like, if he has, even if it's a close win against Brandon Rios, it's a bad look. It's just, and people have been waiting for him to fall. So, and people will be jumping on him if he does. Honestly. And I'll give you one more. I'm going to say Jorge Linares. Last fight wasn't great. He's getting a little bit older. He's a guy who relies on reflexes and skills, so he's going to age quicker, probably, because the last thing to go always is the power. He doesn't have it, so if he's just a little bit slow on things, he gets caught, you know. I think a guy like Lomachenko could beat him. I think Garcia could beat him. I mean, not to say that he's not a highly skilled fighter, but I think that we could see the beginning of the end of his little run. And then the guys to look out for, I think it's pretty easy. Just go a few names deep, and I would circle them all in and around the 140-pound division. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go Prograis, Ramirez, Taylor. Josh Taylor, Jose Ramirez, Regis Prograis, all those three guys can make a big push into not yet a superstar, but a guy who's pushing that edge. Like, this may be the next guy who can come up, and because the one thing is Prograis keeps on exceeding expectations. Ramirez sells out arenas, and Josh Taylor is just getting better and wiping out vets. Like, he's doing it the old-fashioned way, taking the old guard out. True. And putting himself in. I think one of those three guys are the guys to really watch for.
Yard.
Mm-hmm.
Big Baby, because of his mouth. He's backing it up. So I think that puts him in the mix. And if I have to, how can I say this? I'm gonna go with a gut feeling. Amon might come back into the mix.
That'll shoot everything down I picked.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. It's just something like, because he's still one of those fighters who fell off, but he's back to fighting. So he's kind of like an overlooked guy that could dark horse people. And he doesn't need much to get back in the mix. You know what I'm saying? Like, one good win, and people are like, yeah, you remember him. He just had that one little incident. So it's that. Yeah. And I want to say it's either going to be a resurgence of Frampton or Leo. Because I think both of them they're likable guys. They're at that cusp, but all they need is just one old but new performance, and people will be like, yeah, we need to look at them again. You know.
Well, if a mom does it, that means he beat Jose Ramirez in New York.
I get it.
No.
I get it.
And it's not saying that he can't. I mean, shit, that's not like it's just a easy fight for Ramirez. Because 2 years ago, there's no way anybody would have picked Ramirez over a mom. Now it's kind of the other way around. Yeah. So it's always somewhere in the middle, you know. Actually, that's going to be a really fun fight. I know why they put New York in there, the Bob and Don thing. We'll see how much that really plays into. It's one thing when they're promoting fights and they got a guy like Ali to back it up, but when it's Ramirez and Imam, people are gonna be like, "Yeah, that's great that you guys are here, but I don't care," you know.
That's the thing. Like, it's got to be handled in the ring, and that's gonna be a great fight for fight fans who are looking for who's really gonna take the mantle. Because if Jose wins that fight, can't nobody tell him nothing. You know, nothing. Like, there can be no excuses to not put him on a fast track to stardom. Imam wins that fight, he's going to say, look, I had a mishap, and then you're going to see flags everywhere, and we back in it. Like, that's going to be interesting. I like that.
I'll tell you one more guy to watch out for who really could rise up. And it's a guy who a lot of people don't like, myself kind of included. Not that I hate him or anything like that, but I just don't think much of him. And it's Chris Eubank Jr. Because he's a guy who's kind of been thought of as like, he's daddy's boy, he's overhyped, he's not really that good. But, you know, he beats Groves coming up on February 17th. And then he beats the winner of
the tournament.
Yeah, he wins the tournament.
You gotta put him in there.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, just quick. I wanted to go over a little bit of that schedule, like. So just this far out, I mean, that one's only about a little bit less than a month away. Groves Eubank. Who do you like in that one?
I'm gonna take Eubank. You know. Is I have a thing when I'm watching a fighter, when they start to look calm in the ring, they become dangerous to me. And he's starting to look calm, like comfortable calm, like, yeah, man, I know what you're throwing. I'm already a step ahead of that. And Groves is a good fighter, but something about that Froch comeback always sticks in my mind. You know, that's the issue. And I could see Eubank trying to, like, oh, I could break you mentally. You know, I might not can't if I can't outskill you, I could still break you mentally. And I think that's gonna be interesting. But I take Eubank in that one.
I think one of the best fights overall on any card, February 24th, Sishaket Sorungvasai and Juan Francisco Estrada. That one is tough to call just because size-wise and toughness-wise, Sorungvasai is going to be tough to deal with. Estrada hasn't faced anybody this big and this strong and this kind of... He's faced guys who are kind of like bullies in there and kind of bullying China shop guys, but not at this size as he's just come up to 115. The fact that, you know, hey, look, he beat Chocolatito and Estrada didn't. So he's going to... Rungvisai is going to go in there confident. The skill of Estrada is night and day compared to Rungvisai. I think that Estrada is more of a natural 115 guy than Chocolatito ever was because of the youth. He got there about, he's like 26 years old now. That one's close. I don't know. I'm going to lean Estrada because I'm going to take the skills because I just remember the back end of the first fight with Chocolatito that I thought he won. I could see Estrada doing something similar to that, but he's going to have to go in there and bang it out a little bit. And the good thing is he's not coming off such a long layoff, so he's going to be much sharper in this fight than he was at the beginning of the Quadras fight.
That fight makes me nervous because if the Rungvisai that beat Chocolatito show up, the only person I can see whipping him is Inoue because he just came. That was like a whole nother thing. Like that was a whole nother animal. And that confidence is something you can't buy, but when you get it, it's gonna cost you a whole lot to take it from a person. Mm-hmm. So, like if this was Estrada versus Chocolatito, I'm like, you've been in them close fights, B. Estrada might take it. This one, man, I don't know what to say. My thing is this. I would say if confident Rungvisai shows up, he wins. But it's still a trap fight for his confidence because I'm sure he's like a megastar at home. He might be getting comfortable and Estrada's hungry. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say it's tough. Like if he shows up slacking just a little bit, it's over. So shit, man. I want to flip a coin, but I'll say Rungvisai for now. I gotta see.
Yeah, it's outside.
Yeah,
this far out, you know, we can change our mind 2 or 3 times. March 3rd, Wilder Ortiz. I'm gonna say that just this far out, a year and a half ago, I probably would have picked Ortiz. I think Ortiz is slowed enough that Wilder ends up catching him at some point. It really is a matter of can he handle... Whoever can handle Wilder's power, can get through the 12, is probably going to beat him. I'm serious. At this point, that's the way I look at it because we saw what a Gerald Washington did. I thought he was winning that fight before he got clipped. Who else was it? I forget. Spilka?
Yeah.
A lot of people had Spilka beating him up until that. Now, the judges didn't say that.
Yeah. I was thinking about that shot he landed. Yeah.
But I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But I'll take Wilder at this point, for this far out.
I'll take Wilder on... I can't go against Wilder for one reason. He's hurting people, and he's not really hitting them clean. Do you know how hard somebody is punching when they can catch a piece of a glove or catch you with part of the fist and you still going down? He got some serious power. And to come off of a hand surgery and to just drop the dude that went 12, the only person that go 12 with you, just like, get out of here. even though, you know, he was super out of shape, but still, he had no qualms about taking that hand and burying it right in his face. I would say he's going to wind up unifying the titles this year. Not just because of his power. Because nobody in the heavyweight division moves their head. So he's got all the advantages because guess what? People don't move their head. And they all got these huge Rottweiler ass heads. So that's just my opinion.
Dimitri Bivol, Sullivan Barrera, also that day on March 3rd. I think this is a good fight, man. You gotta love Barrera. Barrera will fight anybody, everybody, whenever. He's not afraid to fight anybody, and he's only grown and gotten better since his loss to Andre Ward. He's turned that into a positive. You know, he's learned from it, kind of the way I think Canelo did from the Mayweather fight. You know, people are really high on Bivol, but I just don't. I'm not as sold on Bivol as everybody else is. He's still young in the pro game, and the one thing is Barrera can be caught. He can be dropped. This far out, I like Barrera in the slight upset in that fight, man. I don't know. I think that's a fun fight. To me, with the light heavyweight division, maybe the best division, probably is the best division in boxing right now. It should be the second run of the World Boxing Super Series. I doubt they'll do that, but that division absolutely should.
Interesting fight. I think between him and Jack, they're going to have an interesting year. That's what I think. Like, him and Jack going to have an interesting year. Because Adonis is not going to make it through the year with that belt. You know. And somebody got to take on Kovalev. You know. So, I think he wins. But, ooh-wee. I think somebody either is going to hit the mountaintop or they going to get caught up in one of the Mortal Kombat finish hims. But in that fight, I'll take Sullivan. He has the edge. I just like what you said about losing the award. I think because of his level of competition, if that's your loss, and remember, he didn't really look that upset. You know, he the way he kind of approached it after was like, give me a couple years and I would have been able to win that fight. So now I think he's probably at that confidence level, like, if I knew then what I know now, it'd be different. So I think he's a problem for anybody right now.
Yeah, he didn't leave that fight discouraged. I think most is what you're saying right there. Yeah, he didn't look like, oh man, he was like, all right, cool. I got beat by a better man. Watch this. I'm gonna come back better. The next week, Regis Prograis, Victor Postol. This one is. It's easy for me to say Prograis because he's actually been exceeding expectations when people thought the fights were going to be close. Even like a fight like the Red Catch fight was supposed to be pretty close. Blew him out. Prograis is getting better. I think his athleticism, his movement will pose problems for Postol. Like Postol looked like he was perfect for a Matisse, but all wrong for a Crawford. Yeah. And not to even come close to comparing those two, Prograis and Crawford. But I think he's more Crawford than he is Matisse. Yeah, he's not going to be there as much for Postol to just pick apart. I'll edge Prograis in that one. I think it'll be a decision, but I think it's a close one. This far out, I think, like I said, things can change.
Man, I would say he better watch out for Postol. You got to watch out for him because Postol is one of those interesting fighters where he don't have power, but then all of a sudden he do. Mm-hmm. He's tricky. Like he's right and backwards at the same time. So I could see Prograis going in like, if I could beat him like in the same fashion as Crawford did, or around the same way, superstar. Yeah, that's fast track. But Postol's been a dark horse before. So this is like, dude, the one thing I can say about both of these fighters, they got extreme guts to fight each other at this particular point. Because I don't know who the hell gonna come out on top on this one. I really don't. My gut tells me Postal might fucking upset him. And I'm from New Orleans. I don't really want to go good. Now look, I might get slapped with a po' boy or something for saying this. But he dangerous. He and that's basically because I'm still bitter because he broke my motherfucking heart by beating Matisse. So I remember how dangerous this could be.
Oh, the next week, the conclusion, I guess, of that 4-man little mini tournament. Jose Ramirez and Amiri Imam in New York. That's what, March 17th. Oh, look, I have to go Ramirez because honestly, because I want that championship. I want that defense in Fresno, and I want to go so that I'm being selfish in my pick and I'm not even going to try to cover it up. I want to go home, and I want to go watch that fight, and that's what it's all about. And look, the way Ramirez looked in his last fight, he looked a better version of a Granados, which we saw was kryptonite to Amir Imam. And Imam, yeah, he's had a couple fights back, but he's been pretty inactive since the loss. I don't see him to be sharp, and if Ramirez jumps on you early and you're trying to figure things out, and he's not going to give you time to figure things out. I like Ramirez. I think big early, and then I think that one could go a little bit longer and get closer as the fight goes on. But I think he'll get a decision out of that one, if not a late stoppage.
New York, right?
Yeah.
That's my problem with that fight. That's my major problem with it. That's part of the reason I'm like, New York. You know why? They're taking the A side completely out of his A side element, which he's actually deserved. And you put him in a situation on the other coast with who? Don King? Mm-hmm. In New York? Listen, don't be surprised if people start posting like ski masks on like after the fight, you know, hashtag Italian job, hashtag fucking dinner thieves. Like, I don't trust it. And I think Imam's a good fighter. Don't get it twisted. I think he's a good fighter. I think he actually has the skills to make this fight competitive. But that New York part, if you'd have had shit in the, you know, anywhere west of the Mississippi, I got it. But that far east of the Mississippi, I ain't trusting it.
And finally, in April, Frampton Donaire. I think Donaire looks better back down at, well, he was at 22, back up to 26. He got beat by, was it Magdaleno? But Frampton looked sketchy in his last fight. I think people will, and it is a good fight because Donaire can bring things to Frampton that he doesn't see all the time, that he's not used to. And I don't think Frampton has the power to just get Donaire out of there. Frampton's just not a big puncher, especially at 26. He's not. But I think Frampton's younger and stronger, and he's still closer to his best than Donaire is by far. And, you know, at their best, this isn't a close fight. Donaire pieces him apart. They're not there, and there's a reason that I think Frampton jumped on this fight, and it's because he thinks and knows, I got this guy.
I think Frampton's a younger fighter, like you said. Stronger build. Yeah. Not necessarily a stronger fighter, in my opinion. But if Frampton could do one thing, and he could just make Donaire a hooker, because normally he's just going to throw his favorite hook. He won't throw other shots. Because I think Nonito Donaire, one of his best things isn't that hook. It's that he has a lot of good punches, but he doesn't use them all. He relies on that hook when he gets in danger. And I think Frampton could take away just the mentality of, if I can get you down early, you're going to swing for the fence with that hook. And if you do that all night, I better not get caught. But I know what's coming. So, it's set up for him to win. But I'm not going to lie, after that loss to Rigondeaux, he looked like he quit. He doesn't have that full dog in him that he used to have, but he got a lot of it back.
He got a little bit back, yeah.
So this is gonna be a tough fight for him. That's why I was like, he wins this fight, yeah. People gonna start saying, yeah, this is the Frampton this the Jackal is back. But I give him the edge for now. But if I see Nonito in shape, I'm like, that's a dangerous dude.
And the reason that we did not, when we talk about that's basically the first half of the year, that's the first quarter of the year, I guess. I guess the first third of the year. The reason we didn't talk Canelo and Triple G is because that's going to get plenty of talking about as it approaches. There's just no way around that fight. It's the biggest fight right now in boxing, so it'll get its due. Trust me, it's not going anywhere. I think next week, since we haven't did it yet, we always do it in January, our pound for pound, which we do it a different way. Pound for pound actually means pound for pound. What have you done in the different weight classes? That's why Triple G has always been low on our pound for pounds when everybody else has them high, because we believe that we try to take a lot of opinion out of it. There's always going to be opinion in it. We try to take a lot of it out of it. And what have you accomplished in different weight classes? How could you handle the weight class below you, above you, and the one you're in? And that's how we kind of do this. The people who have actually done that, they're going to be higher on our list. That's why we differentiated last year between our pound for pound and who we think is the 5 best fighters in the world. Those are different lists.
Right.
We do it way different than everybody else, so we'll do that next week. I kind of want to get into something too in the next weeks. Maybe I'll do this. We can do this for as things kind of give us time. We can take 15 minutes out of each show. I want to do top 5 lists.
Hell yeah.
Top 5 lists of 5 best power punchers, 5 best boxers, 5 best, just whatever. 5 best characters in the game. Oh. You know what I mean? Just different things. You can tweet at us, Cheap Seats Box, any suggestions for top 5 lists, because we're going to run through them over a course of about 5 or 6 weeks in a row.
5 most overloved fighters.
Yeah, 5 most overhyped fighters. So I want to do that. Let's do something different. Every year we got to try to do something different. It kind of keeps us fresh. Keeps us fresh, because it sometimes it can get stale. Sometimes it gets a little bit I guess we'll do a show today. That time has come when we walk by each other at work and want to do one today? Maybe tomorrow. So we'll try to do that, some top 5 lists. Again, you can follow the show, like I said, on Twitter at Cheap Seats Box. Give us any suggestions on the top 5 lists. Apple Podcasts, iTunes, rate and review. You'll be next unofficial sponsor, like our boy Charlie, who did that. We appreciate you. This was your show. You were the unofficial sponsor. So be like that. Help us. It keeps us more visible when you're going through iTunes and looking for podcasts. Keep us there in our position at number 4. We like that. We like to be number 3, number 2, number 1 eventually, right? We always try. Number 1. Well, we are the best. Don't let bullshit fool you. What was I going to say? Email us, cheapseatsboxing@gmail.com. Questions, comments, anything else like those lists, anything. We always get to you. If a topic is good, I will hit it up on the show. If not, I always respond. So do that. JP, is there anything else, man? Is there anything I forgot, man?
No, it's nothing you forgot. I'm betting on the mom so we could bet on a bottle of whiskey. Anyway, this is where the fighters fight the fans commentate.
And we do it just like you for the cheap seats, because we ain't buy no tickets, goddammit. Peace.
Again, I'll be the next heavyweight champion. Call me crazy, but no one can fade me. I'm the product of the projects, lost and crazy. Throw your hands up, Mr. Bruno. Ride, Big Mike Tyson about to brutalize that ass tonight. No hesitation for the whole nation. I'll beat that ass so bad I probably violate probation. Through demonstration as I strategize information. Intensification.